To understand how Kant develops an entire system of ethics out of the rules of logic and reason, and has as its goal the protection, the promotion of human dignity and worth, we have to understand first what an imperative is, because imperatives and the concept of imperative play a fundamental role in Kant's ethics. All right, so when we're talking about imperatives, we're just talking about things that have to be done. A particular action is required. Something has to be done. It's commanded. And there are different types of imperatives. There's hypothetical imperatives, and hypothetical imperatives are actions that are required in a particular set of circumstances when there is a desired outcome. Okay, so when we find ourselves in a particular set of circumstances or conditions or wanting to satisfy some desire we have, there's things that we would have to do in order to address those circumstances or have that desire satisfied. So an example might be, if you want to earn an A in this class, there's some things you have to do. There's some actions that are commanded or required of you, imperatives. You have to earn 80% on your thought primers. You have to earn 80% on your philosophic inquiries, and you have to earn 80% on your quizzes. If you want an A in this class, those are the things you have to do, okay? But if you don't want an A in this class, then you don't have to do any of those. Or if you want to be in this class, you'd have to do something different than what I just identified, okay? But if you want the A, there's some actions that are required of you. Similarly, when the temperature in your home becomes uncomfortably cold, you're going to have to do something about that to make it not uncomfortably cold. You're going to have to spike the thermostat or put on more clothes or light a fire in the stove, something along those lines. But if you like being uncomfortably cold and don't want to change that, or it's just not uncomfortably cold in your house, then you don't have to do any of those things. If you want to have dinner with your friends this Friday night, there's some things you're going to have to do. At minimum, you're going to have to indicate to them that desire. You're going to have to text them maybe. Maybe you're going to have to make a reservation at a restaurant. You're going to have to decide where to go, right? These are all things you're going to have to do if you want to have that dinner with your friends. But again, if you don't want to have dinner with your friends on Friday night, you don't have to do any of those things, okay? So this is the hypothetical imperative. These are the actions that have to be taken in under certain conditions for certain purposes. What Kant was interested in is the categorical imperative, okay? The categorical imperative is a fundamentally different kind of imperative. These are actions that are required of you always, or these are things that are prohibited always. These are things you always have to do or that you never can do. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. It doesn't matter what your desires are. It doesn't matter what the outcomes are. These are actions that always have to be done or never have to be done. They're without condition. They apply to everybody at all times equally. And they're universalizable. And what Kant means by this is important. We'll see this here in a minute, or in the next lecture, actually. These are actions that always have to be done no matter what the circumstances are. These are rules that apply to everyone equally. There's not one set of rules for one person and another set for a different person. So these are universal maxims, and they're universalizable, meaning that it has to be possible for everyone to do these actions and have the world still kind of make sense. Okay, so we'll see what Kant kind of means by that again more clearly in the next lecture. What Kant said in this regard was, act only according to that maxim by which you can at the same time will that it should become universal law. So Kant was a notoriously difficult writer to understand, but essentially what he's saying is this, is you can figure out what the right thing to do is by a thought experiment. Ask yourself, what if everyone does what I'm contemplating doing? What would the world look like if everyone did what I did, okay? And by this he means that your behavior, your actions, the decisions you make about what to do and not do, these kind of imply a rule for everyone. Now, sometimes folks get confused by this and they think that what Kant's saying is you have to do what I say. And that's not what Kant is saying at all, because Kant wants to make sure that everyone maintains their freedom. And that includes the freedom to make bad choices. So Kant's simply saying that as I roll through my life as an individual, when I make decisions about what to do, my decisions are going to be based on this, or some of them are going to be based on this categorical imperative. And when I make a decision that I think fits with the categorical imperative or adheres to the categorical imperative, what I'm saying is this is an action that I think not only everyone could do and have the world still make sense, but it's I think what everyone should do personally. Now, whether or not they choose to do that, that's up to them. But my life sort of implies a standard of behavior for everyone, and so does everyone else's life. Now, an important part about Kant here is even though we've got this criteria of universalizability, in other words, everybody has to be able to do what I'm contemplating doing, and the world has to make sense if everyone does this, it's not the golden rule. Okay, so Kant is not saying treat everybody as you would want to be treated, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because Kant would say the golden rule is all about emotion. It's about desire. You're treating people the way you would desire to be treated. But remember what Kant says about desire and emotion. These are things that cloud our ability to think rationally, to use logic, and to exercise reason. So Kant does not want desire, does not want emotion involved in our ethical decision making. So when he talks about what happens if everybody else does what I'm contemplating doing, he's talking about what would the logic of reality look like if everybody did what I'm contemplating doing. Okay, so in the next lecture we'll try to make this a little clearer and maybe come back to this.